Yo, what up? My name is Don, and today I wanted to talk about and give you guys a little bit of an update into the situation regarding my wrist. So let's hop right in. All right. So, as some of you know, I do play guitar. I've been playing guitar for over 15 years now. But over the last couple of years, I ran into a self sustained injury, one that could have been prevented if I was a little bit smarter about the way I was doing a certain activity. And that activity is, of course, playing guitar. Um, you know, you would wonder how do you injure yourself playing guitar, but it's something just like any activity where if you do something in a technique or poor form, if you have poor form uh, doing said activity over time, you can develop these sustained injuries. And so I was unfortunate enough to have sustained the injury of developing a ganglion cyst in my wrist. You can kind of see the little bandage here with my little, my little blood stain there. There's no delicate way to say that. But I finally got the cyst drained today. So, what a ganglion cyst injury is, it's a non cancerous um, sack, I guess. Um, and you know, a really layman's way to explain the situation to somebody is like in your wrist. Obviously, there's bones and stuff in there, and all sorts of ligaments and flesh and blah blah blah. But the bones, in order for them not to like like grind off each other, you're gonna need something to like lubricate the joint, just like like if you ever worked on a car or something, or any like let's just take like the hinges in a door or something. Like they have grease in them, so they're not like. And if you have doors like that, please go take care of that. But for this, there is a sack inside your wrist, and basically, I was playing guitar over 2 years ago now. I'm a live streamer, right? So I stream every single day, and I play guitar often every single day, sometimes twice a day, which is not really a problem. It's not a problem to play guitar for 2 to 3 to 4 hours. That's a lot for some people, but it's really more about going to the extremes. And I went to the extreme because I have aspirations to be the best at whatever I do, and I try to stay humble about where I am skill wise and technically, but at the same time, I do have big dreams to become 10 times better than I currently am. And when you sustain an injury like this because you're pushing yourself so hard, it can be very demotivating. So I've also been dealing with, the emotional side of not being able to progress or train as hard as I want to. So basically, what happened was I was playing with one of my guitars, actually the camel one that you can kind of see here. If you know what a Les Paul body shape looks like, I'm not going to bust out the guitar right now and change my camera scene and all that, but basically, you can follow along and Google a Les Paul body shape style. Most guitar players play with it with the body cut, meaning there is a cut out of the side of the guitar body that's going to sit in your lap, and most players play with that over their right leg. So you can see, my arms over here on my right leg. Well, that forces your arm, and you can see my arm right now. It forces your shoulder in a kinked position. It forces your elbow in a consistently constrained position, and it puts all sort of tension down the right side of the arm. But at the same time, it forces your left side of the arm to compensate for the fact that you're all hunched up on this side, and so you really have to dig your arm around under the guitar neck, and you'll see what happens is I don't want to bend my wrist too much, but your wrist starts to really bend to wrap around the neck of the guitar. And you'll find that what you'll see that my wrist is doing, I'll do it with this wrist. What happens is if there was a sack inside your wrist and you were, if your wrist is completely straight, obviously you're not putting any pressure on both sides. But if you have like a sack in like a clear, thing inside your wrist, if I put my wrist down this way, or if you put your wrist up this way, if you're doing a push up, because this is um, well, for me, it was the other way, but if you're doing a push-up, you're doing the same thing. You're putting pressure on. Oh, let's bring my hand back in here. So it'll show you that way. Put pressure on. It's so weird to do this backwards, but you're putting pressure on this side of your wrist, right? So if anything, the sack is going to have more room on this side of your wrist to kind of bulge out or more room to move, right? So for me, with my wrist wrapping around the guitar neck all the time, this side was the side that was a bit pinched, and so what happened was the sack essentially burst out this side of my wrist. So even up to a couple days ago, if you, I believe if you watch my last upload, actually my upload just before this, I do show my wrist where you can see the sack being very prominent in under where this bandage was, And today was finally the day after dealing with this for 2 plus years and having the injury because um, it is a I would say a stress-induced injury. I don't mean mental stress. I mean, stressing the area. So the injury would flare up when I used my wrist more, when I was, being more active on guitar, and um, the body has the ability to kind of reabsorb the fluid because obviously your body's working to heal and repair you all the time and take care of you and do all its maintenance stuff that it does. But um, last time I went to get they call it an aspiration, which is basically they're going to stick a needle into the sac, and you can picture like this. Let's picture this in really basic terms. There's like imagine a balloon, a really small balloon, in your wrist in the top side. And for me, because of where it was, right along my wrist here, it was preventing my fingers from moving in certain ways, or when you have to do fast guitar solos, or you have to stretch your fingers a lot, or you have to put your hand in a certain position, it was definitely straining that activity for me. So it was a hindrance for me, and it got to a point where I couldn't. Some people just stay with them. I mean, if it's not bothering you and you don't use your hands, maybe you don't care. But for me, I definitely use my hands. So, um, at this point forward, I definitely want to approach guitar with proper technique so this never happens again. But basically, the procedure, they stick a needle in it and they pop that balloon and they use that needle like a syringe and essentially suck that fluid out. This is the only option that is currently widely available before the more invasive option of going in to operate on the cyst area. If operation happens, basically what they do is they just dig out the entire cyst. I've seen pictures of it on Google. Do not recommend Googling it unless you have a strong stomach. I don't like seeing medical procedure pictures. I really don't. So it was a little bit unnerving. But if you're that curious, you can you can go look at what they do to kind of cut that thing out. And you know, um, I really don't want it to get that far because there is always a greater chance of injury, like injury by just the procedure. Even if the doctors don't mess up, you might be left with limited mobility. Blah blah blah. So that's a little scary, right? That's a one way. That's really a one way street. That's a one way ticket. With the aspiration, there's no like it's not like they're gonna put the fluid back in. That's a one way street too, but it's much less invasive. And so essentially, I just wanted that's a bit of a backstory into um everything leading up to my injury. The only thing I haven't talked about is what actually originally caused it, which was sorry, which was me for probably like a couple months. Let's just say 2 or 3 months, maybe even 4 months, playing guitar in that position, consistently being in that position. Um, and it's not any one thing of what I'm saying that caused it. It's not like a light switch that turns on and off. It's having uh, imagine just an equalizer on music, and you have everything jacked up on 100% all the time. Something's gonna break, like the levy's gonna break, right? So that's what caused my hand. So it was like the bad positioning, having my wrist so curled around the guitar neck, being hunched, being cramped, um, and playing on live stream, playing for 10 to 12 hours a day on average. That's an average. A lot of my streams went for, over 12 hours. I think some of my longest ones for 15-hour streams. And I'm not kidding. When I say I wanted to be the best, it's I have like all of the symptoms of being a person with ADD. I'm not diagnosed ADD or anything like that, and I don't really want to be, and that's a whole nother conversation. But I hyper focus on things. I obsess about things when I want to be good at them, and that's always been the truth when it comes to sports. It was the same way with skateboarding. I would skateboard for 8 plus hours a day growing up easily, and it's not, you know, you could there's a lot of it to do with, "Oh, yeah, you were young," but I was obsessed with it, like, I really obsessed with it. I wanted to be the best. I couldn't get a trick. I was practicing that trick 60, 70, 80 times a day to get it. Like, I was obsessed, and it's the same way with guitars. So when you sustain an injury like this, which I have sustained other injuries during when I skateboarded that were of this level where they're detrimental injuries. They hamper your progress. They interrupt your whole journey. Those are never fun, and I also kind of touched on the emotional aspect of it too, which is just uh, demotivating, like I said. It's very saddening, when you feel like, when you are a naturally competitive person, you can feel like, people around you are progressing. You get these, thoughts and feelings of fear of missing out flooding in and stuffing like that. And, time is as you get older, you get more privy to time, so injuries become such a bigger weight when it's like, I can't afford this to lose this time, and for me, it's been 2 years now, and it passed just like that. So if there's any lesson to take from that is that do not, discount your health. You know, when it comes to injuries like this that could have been, prevented, because it's not like I fell and broke my wrist, it's that I worked myself into breaking down, essentially into my wrist breaking down. Whether it's playing guitar and I can give specific advice like stretch, 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 that applies to practically every single physical activity. Stretching is so important. And I myself, having gone to physio now because of this, and having gone to, different doctors and hand specialists and, you know, you know, the doctors who do the aspiration and stuff like that. Um, the whole process sucks. The whole process of dealing with any healthcare system is not really enjoyable. Even if this is not a slight to the healthcare system, even though the healthcare system in Canada sucks. And if you go and watch my video that I came out with about 2 months ago, talking about my experience with the last hand specialist that I spoke to and the Canadian healthcare system, it's again another deep well of a conversation to get into. Um, it's not ideal up here, but regardless, I think that just even if you had a 10 out of 10, hospital experience, it's never fun to have to go through the experience. Nobody wants to be injured. Nobody wants to have ailments. You know what I mean? So, um, take care of your health. Stretch, stretch, stretch. It's so important. You can really prevent a lot of injuries that you otherwise would, kind of, bring upon yourself if you would just do kind of like the preemptive thing of stretching and um, keeping your body ready to be as active as you want to be, which I clearly messed up on. So there's a big, lesson here to learn from that, because you only have one body, right? So, uh, take care of it. Now, the operation today, the procedure, I don't want to call it an operation. It's not invasive. They just stick a couple needles in. The procedure today was, 0 out of 10, not recommended. The doctors that did it were very kind, very kind. The one very good at distracting me and getting me to talk and stuff like that, because I'm a little bit of I'm very not mentally good with needles. It's easy to say I'm scared of needles, which I essentially am. It's not like um, it's just it's a phobia, I guess. It's at that level where I cannot control the feelings that I get when I know that I'm getting a needle, or as soon as the moment comes over, the needle comes out and it's about to happen. It's like I'm fighting the hyperventilating. I'm fighting my body having the shakes, and I'm just trying to keep myself calm. Right. Some people would be like, it's only a needle, but it's not really the fact that it's only a needle. If you have a phobia, or you ever had some sort of anxiety attack or panic attack or anything like that, you can definitely understand, what it is like to be scared, about an experience, or scared about something beyond your control. It's not fun. So, you know, the procedure, I get there and they want to do an ultrasound just to pinpoint the location where they're going to go in and, pop the, ganglion cyst. That was a really good pop, by the way. And the first doctor, does the scan, goes out, gets a second doctor comes in, explains to me real quick. I'm like, "Okay." I think the only question I asked the first doctor was, "Are they gonna numb the area?" And this is me trying to, create a safe space for my brain, essentially. I'm trying to get my brain to, like, shut up and calm down. I'm like, "They're gonna numb it, like, it'll be okay, like, don't worry, like, you'll be okay, right?" And, second doctor comes in, yeah, 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 tells me about the risks and this and that. I'm like, "I'm not worried." Sign the little consent thing. I'm like, I'm like, "Do your thing." Like, I don't even care at this point. It's been too many years. I'm like, "I'm here to get this done. Let's rock, man." And so, laying down, they had me lay down on a bed, and they raise it right up, and they prop my left wrist on a little, like, a wedge. So the wedge is, the big end of the triangle is where your wrist would lay, so your wrist is kinda propped in an upwards position, so, they can do their thing. And, laying all the blankets down and stuff like that, just to have this area on my wrist, isolated. And I have to speak about this because it was one of the most one of the most interesting experiences I've had lately, and just gross, to be completely honest. So, like, they stick the freezing needle in, and I only learned afterward. He only told me after the procedure was done that he stuck a little bit extra of the numbing in because he knew that I was not good with needles, which I let them both know very adamantly, and I always let the doctors know. Like, I don't even care if I need another adult to hold their hand. I just need something to distract me. It's got to be something because I cannot do without that numbing stuff. Which, by the way, works so damn well. It works so damn well. At least it did today. So, he gave me a little bit extra dosage of the numbing stuff. And next, he goes, "You're gonna feel the pressure of the camera, whatever, to drain it." Right? Gets the second needle, the one to drain the fluid, and I feel pressure, and I feel pressure, and I feel pressure for like a couple seconds, and all of a sudden, pop! I'm like, can I even do that pop again? That one is hilarious. Um, yeah, it was gross. It was a gross feeling. It's like literally, uh, you oh, I don't know what they're called, but those little cap things that you step on and they pop. And I'm not talking about the little red, things that you used to put in those like toy guns as a kid, right? I'm talking about like, um, I'm talking about whatever it was. It just felt like almost like the size of like a little candy wrapper that was filled with compressed air or something to the brim with like no air getting out. Dude, the the pop was gross. It was gross. It literally like in my right under my wrist, and I felt it, and like right at that moment, I was just like, oh, like ew, like so gross. It felt nasty, and I don't know if you've ever had like the feeling where it feels like you're, you can like for some reason it feels like you can feel your blood pumping, or it feels like your veins are just really like really giving it right. I could feel what felt like something like shoot down my thumb. Like, there's a obviously there's blood vessels and stuff that run down the finger here, but I like could feel something run down my thumb and I'm like, please, Lord, don't tell me because I've seen pictures of people having like ganglion cysts on their fingers and stuff like that. I'm like, first of all, how does that happen? And second of all, please do not tell me that some of the fluid escaped and shot down my wrist because I will cry. I will cry if I have to get that done again. 100%. Um, so for a couple seconds it was that I didn't really feel anything other than pressure, and then came the part where they had to put these steroids in to help the area heal. Now, my wrist right now, they said that it looks a little less, um like the lump doesn't look as large anymore. I would say before you would be able to see the lump when I had my hand horizontal like this, but when I bent my hand down, you would really see the lump protrude. So I'm interested to see in a couple days when the swelling goes down if if there's any protrusion at all. I really hope that my mobility is back at least at minimum another 20%. It's not like I couldn't play guitar. It's just that it was really hampering me from doing things that at my current level of guitar would really help me progress. So, even to practice those things, um, not even for like an hour, but for again, stretching is important. Even the stretching aspect would hurt. Like I wouldn't be able to stretch my full hands mobility. I haven't been able to do a push up for the last 2 years because the ganglion cyst was again on the top side of my wrist. I can't on the floor. I can't go on the floor and put my hand against the floor because the size of it would literally stop my hand from pushing back. And when my hand pushed back, you would be able to feel all of the pressure going against that ganglion cyst. So um, that's not cool. I obviously didn't, yeah, it's just not been a fun experience. When little things like when it first happened, I couldn't even being a career photographer, videographer before I got into full-time content creation. Um, I couldn't even lift my camera and stuff like that. So it's been a hell of a journey so far, and I'm mentally very done with the whole process. At this point, I still have um inquiries into my doctors to get me into a specialist, a different specialist, rather than the one that I saw the first two times, which is, you know, that hand specialist essentially told me when I first injured myself, it was around New Year's of that year, way back when it happened. I can't remember what year now, 2021 maybe, and or sometime at the beginning of 2022. Um, but I do believe it was 2021, so not that far through 2024 yet. But anyways, it was, sometime around New Year's, and I believe that my experience, it just felt like the doctor wanted to rush me out. It wasn't a good experience, he didn't really do anything for me, to be completely honest, and unfortunately, when I saw him recently a couple months ago, it was the same thing. He, 1, came into the office not really knowing what was going on, and I don't mean who I was or remember me. I literally mean didn't know what was going on. His assistant had all of the paperwork in order and already had spoken to me as you walk in beforehand, as normally happens. But he came in and not knowing even what he was there for. There was a lot of ums, uhs, and shuffling around and looking confused or not addressing me directly, not looking me in the eye, not being confident about what he was saying. It was a very shifty, shady, weird experience. And so all of my anger is expressed in that video called My Guitar Injury Wrist Update. That is a video that I can link down in the description below of this video if you guys want to check that out. Um, but I thought I was gonna be out, here we are, and I got the operation done. I thought I was gonna be out for a week, but they said basically, as long as, my mobility, like, it's as a case by case basis, like, if I feel that I can move my wrist again, go for it. Um, one detail I left out, just to touch on quickly, when they were putting the steroids in, that was not fun. That was not fun. It almost felt like I could feel the pressure along the interior, forearm bone here. Um they said they were going deeper with the steroids because it's just what they had to do. That was not fun. That was not fun. Not fun. Not fun. So, if anybody else has ever, I know there are tons of other videos about wrist injuries. But if anybody out there is watching this and you have gone through a wrist injury, or if you're currently dealing with a ganglion cyst, I would love to know your thoughts down below. Again, whether you're currently dealing with it or whether you've gone through some sort of procedure, whether it's aspiration or an actual operation to get rid of it completely, let me know how your experience has been so far. I mean, my wrist is sore, but I guess we'll see in a couple days. Hopefully, I'm back to playing guitar soon, not as intensely as first, but um, you know, day by day, right? We'll take it day by day, and that is my update for today. I just want to kind of give you guys um some insight there. So that also kind of brings me into my next thing I wanted to touch on quickly, which is that I will be um going back to making more guitar covers. As soon as my hand is good to go, it's all brakes, no gas. Right? Yeah, or sorry, all gas, no brakes, right? Um, I said that backwards. Screw that up. No, but it's all gas, no brakes. As long as I can make sure that I'm not going to run up any stress induced injuries again, any physical stress induced injuries again. So, send your good energy, man. I totally need it on this recovery time, and we will get back to more music and more reactions soon. If you liked this story and you want more insight into some of the real life things I got going on, especially as they do trickle down into having an effect on the YouTube channel and some of the videos that I make, then please, like as always, like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.